All right, I think we can go ahead and get started here. First of all, welcome everyone to today's webcast. My name is Sean O'Brien. I'm with ePlan USA. I'm an account manager on the sales team responsible for our business in the Northeast United States, and I'm based out of our Detroit office. I'm joined today by my teammate Derek, who I'll turn it over to in a moment. Just wanted to go through a couple of housekeeping items. First of all, the topic today, ePlan Platform 2023. We'll go over some of the improvements, some of the additions to the software. It was released a couple of weeks ago, so this is an important webcast for us. This is being recorded, just so you're aware. You can take a look later, share it with any teammates, and we are taking questions today. We would ask that you save the questions till the Q&A portion at the end. You can use the chat function within the WebEx software, or you can raise your hand and we will unmute you for questions at the end here. So with that, I'll turn it over to Derek.
Thank you, Sean. Again, my name is Derek Santamaria. I'm an application engineer here at ePlan, based out of Chicago, Illinois. And today I'm going to be talking about our latest and greatest version, ePlan Platform 2023. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. First topic that I will be talking about is improvements in the user interface, starting with the project property overview. You are now able to find the most important project properties without having to open the project itself. In ePlan, you're able to see this when you go to File and you go to Open. If you didn't know, you can also pin your projects. That way you get access to it all the way from the top. And as you can see, as soon as you click on one of them, you'll notice that the property overview is going to be shown on the right-hand side. By doing so, you can quickly access your projects and see the newly added properties, and also whatever you have here whatever you have in the properties, project property will be displayed here. This is static at the moment. You are not able to customize this, but with this feature, you can see all the important subjects or properties so that you don't have to, open it and then close it again if it's not the same project you're looking for. So very simple. Another topic is the capability of adding custom icons inside your ribbons. Using this feature, you're now able to easily recognize your functions inside your custom toolbars. As you can see right here, in the past, you are not able to import or upload images so that you can use it for your tabs, but now that is not the case. You're able to upload a SVG file. That way you're able to recognize your icons. Let's take a look at it real quick. If you look at my tab here, I have the same icons that you just saw. If you want to customize your ribbon, you can right click on an empty space, and if you look at here, you can right click edit. The feature is now added here, so you can, like I said, you can upload any type of an SVG type of image. Just be aware that this file is primarily a Photoshop file that a lot of web designers use to display images. Also keep in mind that the SVG file must contain a vector graphic, because if it's an image file, it's not going to be displayed. All right. Next topic is the external documents and designation. In ePlan Platform 2023, we have combined these properties. If you were using version 2022 or the prior versions, these two were separated, and it was a challenge to keep track of them, because you can have more than at least more than 20 or about 50 But now, as you can see on this graphic here, you're able to see them in one particular property. Let's have a look at it real quick in the EPLAN platform. So if I open up my parts management and I search for a part number, in particular a Rital enclosure, if you go to the Properties tab and search for documents, you'll see that the external documents property type 22369, if you click on the three dots here, you'll see that both hyperlinks and the designation or the description of this particular file are now in orderly fashion. The biggest benefit of this added feature is that you can combine, not only that you can combine these two properties, but you can track your data sheets or your hyperlinks easily. We've also improved and enhanced our insert center. We added a list view right under the main section of the insert center so that you get a better look at your search results and find what you need. This list view can also be customized using the configure representation function. And let's take a look at it from the EPLAN platform. So you have to have, obviously you have to have a schematic page open. And if you search for a particular part, in this case, I'm using the same one I searched for. You can see that every time I search for something, it'll also have this list view underneath showing me a better view of all the properties of this particular part. Not only that, you can also filter your search. So if you're only looking for a symbol or a macro, you can do so by clicking on this icon right here. In addition, you can also directly open your hyperlinks straight from the insert center now. This wasn't the case in the past. Let's test it out. So if you have the list view here, you can right click, open hyperlink, and these are the links coming from your parts data. Speaking of parts management, we've added this new cloud-based application called eSTOCK. eSTOCK is the parts management tool that is part of our cloud applications called ePlan Cloud. The current situation is that you have engineers that are working remote, and obviously they need to have access to your company parts database. When this happens, there's always going to be a high latency between the communication of your company server and the user's personal computer at home. So not only that, you're also are exposed to not being able to use the latest data because you have to create, we recommend that you also create a local copy of your parts database. And another challenge is that if you're working on a standardized parts database and you're trying to collaborate with another site, you have to basically clone that parts database or that SQL server. And this obviously will cost your company. And last but not least, right now, it's really hard to collaborate with externals because you don't want to have copies or mistakes within your parts management. So that's what we're trying to mitigate in this application called eSTOCK. Just to clarify, this is exactly what's happening right now. You've got the headquarters hosting a SQL server in your master database, and the master database in a secured SQL server. It gets replicated to another subsidiary, and then obviously, if you're working from home, you have to also generate a virtual desktop and copy again the EDZ file. Not only that, if you have more than one sites, then you have to create different copies. What happens here is that there's a gap between your the consistency of your data, and which lead to obviously inconsistent documentation. So that's what we're trying to avoid here. With ePlan eSTOCK, everything is now in the cloud. You are able to upload all your parts in one central location. ePlan eSTOCK is only downloadable with a ePlan Platform subscription, and it's free for those who do have subscription. If you are wondering how this works, you can look at our ePlan help. I'll show you that in a bit. But essentially, you have now the capability of selecting ePlan eSTOCK collection as your parts database. And once you do so, right, it'll grab whatever you select here. So right now I have a few from my organization, but you can always create your own. And the way to upload it in eSTOCK is if you open parts management, you can either select an individual part. For example, right here, you can right click, upload an eSTOCK, or you can upload the entire database. All right. If you do have any questions, I highly recommend that you, so let me open this up. If you go to eplan.help, we have a separate section for eSTOCK where we provide you with step-by-step process on how to get started with this application. Now let's have a look at optimizations regarding cable management. In the past, we have separated the cable information and also the cable connection information. But now in ePlan 2023, we've improved this and combined them. And we've also added a few essential features. So the benefit of this new edit cable dialog is that you get a better visualization of your cable information. As you can see, I get to see what each connection looks like, what color it is, the wire gauge, and also the part number. Not only that, you can quickly access and exchange cable data using this feature. Let's take a look. In this example, you're looking at a cable. If you right click on any cable and synchronize it while the cable navigator is open, you can see it right here. This new feature can be accessed by right clicking and going to edit, or you can simply go to connections and click edit cable right here. As you can see, this particular cable is being displayed on this dialog. The sequence corresponds to the display in the tree view, so it's in order. Also, the graphic of a connection is represented by the graphic that is part of your project property. So if you, for example, this one right here, you can see that I've set it up so that it's the color of the wire is green yellow. Therefore, and it's in my project connection colors. Therefore, it's going to show this particular color. If the color doesn't exist, like this one here, I named it 3. what happens then is it'll show a black color. That is just the standard. All right. So this new feature really helps because it's very if you're familiar with ePlan, it's very similar to the edit terminal function, which is a very popular feature. Next up is wire numbering. It is now possible to filter your automatic connection numbering using the potential type. So back then, this didn't exist, but now it's there. We've added this. So you now have the option to exclude, for example, your potential type connections or your neutral. So let's try it out. If I were to go to ePlan and open up a schematic, when you want to add your connection numbering, you have to place the definition points first. And if you look here under filter, like I said, you can now disregard neutral or ground potentials so that it won't get tagged. So let's try it out. If I hit OK here, you'll see that both the neutral and the ground are now have been disregarded. So everything else has been considered. So if you just finish this automatic connection numbering, you can simply hit OK, and then ePlan will do the rest. Great tool if you are concerned with automatic connection numbering and not having to manually do it. We've also added a new internal database management for your project management and dictionary. This means that you do not have to rely on Microsoft Access for these databases. You can also export your old translation and project database without having to migrate it. All you have to do is import it. Obviously, the SQL Server option is still available. If you do not know what I mean, I can show you real quick. So project management can be accessed here, right? This will show you the your project database in your local computer. If you go to settings, you've got project management database here. So now we have the DB internal extension. Also for translations, you do not need the Microsoft now. You can create a new one and it'll save as a DB file. Next topic is placing QR codes in your schematic. You now have the possibility to use a placeholder object for them. Not only that, so this means that you can switch links in between your QR codes without having to place them every time. I'm going to show you an example. So I'll stay in this page here. If you want to place a QR code, you can go to Insert, and all the way here to the right side, there's the QR code. You draw the QR code, and then you type in the first block format. Let's just say phoenixcontact.com. All right, so now you have one property there. If you want to add a placeholder, you go to macros right over here to the left. Make sure you highlight the QR code first and then insert. So now, once I place this QR code, I can add a name to this QR code. Let's just say select URL, and then I'm going to add the block property format that I just filled in a few seconds ago. So now I'll make this a variable. Let's say URL, and then from here I can set value sets for the URL. So first of all, I can say the first one is going to be Phoenix contact, right? So I can just read in the current values. And then I can create multiple value sets. For example, I'll say EPLAN, and then I will have to add the web address. And then I'll go ahead and add another one. Let's just say this is going to be Siemens. So in this case, it's going to be Siemens.com. Let's say I'm finished. I'll go ahead and hit OK. So right now, the selected value set is the first one, Phoenix contact. But if I want to change that, I can simply right-click Assign Value Set and then change it from either EPLAN or Siemens. Let's try EPLAN. And then if I hit OK, you see that it is now the QR code for eplan.com. This feature, like I said, it'll allow you to switch between links within the schematic. Also in ePlan 2023, we added a way for you to manage your macros depending on what standard you're using. This is great for those who are global companies that have different subsidiaries in multiple locations. So now in ePlan, you can have up to 10 predefined norm-specific macros and up to 10 user-defined company standards. Now just be aware that this will depend, the macro that ePlan will grab will depend on what you have in the settings here. Okay, so if you have a company standard, this will always take, ePlan will always take this first because that's, if you have something here, it will always grab that. Like I said, you can separate your macros depending on who you're working for or which client you're working for. We've also improved our 3D graphics engine. We've improved the 3D rendering, improved insert interaction between the cabinet, the mounting plate, the mounting rail. We've improved the working interaction, how you rotate it and change the length of each wires. Overall, just a better experience with the 3D tool called ProPanel. That way you can easily visualize the layout of your panel. If you go to layout space, you can open a particular 3D space. As you can see, it opened for me right away. Usually that would take a few seconds, but now if I were to rotate my cabinet, it's very responsive. I can tell because I've been using ePlan for a while, and yeah, just a better experience overall. If you have any questions regarding all the topics that I talked about today, you can go to eplan.help. Under platform, you can look at the ePlan News 2023. This is where we announce all the features that we've added for each software that we have, including P8, or if you have ProPanel, it will also be listed here. Now, I also had a webcast regarding the ePlan e-learning. We have a set of modules specifically for the Update Training 2023. This is where you will literally get a hands-on experience on all the new features in 2023. Lastly, if we appreciate your feedback, if you do see any improvements that we can apply to the new release, please let us know. Simply create a ticket through the ePlan Solution Center, and we will take care of it. Now I'll give it back to Sean for questions and answers.
Yeah, thanks, Derek. That was excellent. And yeah, we'll start the Q&A portion of the webinar here. So if you have any questions, you can go ahead and raise your hand within the WebEx client, or you can type them in the chat, and I'll bring them forward. Okay, while we're waiting, I had a question from a customer the other day. They wanted to know if we had any official training courses for the new version. I know you mentioned some of the self-paced training that we can find on the cloud site. Anything available in the classroom?
Not for this release. The 2022 release, we did have a classroom style training. For 2023, we only have e-learning.
Okay. And I will add to that from my perspective, if there is something that, we are pretty flexible in what we can offer in terms of training. Even if we don't have an official course there, we can often figure something out to meet our customers' needs.
Exactly. I mean, we offer consulting services as well. If you need some coaching advice, we can always, discuss that over WebEx or Teams.
Okay, here's a question from the chat. Has part data creation, request or ordering changed in 2023?
No, it's still the same. It's still going to be done through the data portal. There's a separate section there where you can inquire for a part.
Okay, and then Josh is asking, what training did you have to complete for the new version to get yourself up to speed and proficient?
Well, I had to go through all the e-learnings. That's more than enough for especially, I'm a visual guy. Like everything that they showed there was perfect for me. I was able to learn all the new features, but obviously since I'm an ePlan worker, I did have to take an exam internally.
Right. I guess you passed. That's why you're here, right?
I did pass. Yeah.
All right, good. Any other questions? One more question. Can you please demonstrate translation? Translate something. I assume that means language translation?
Yes. So I talked about, let me share my screen again. What I mentioned earlier was the fact that you are now able to change your dictionary database. This means that you don't need to use Microsoft Access for it. That's all I mentioned today. But in terms of translation, we do have a set of instructions from ePlan Help where you can do this. Okay. Who asked here, Emil? I would say I'll just follow up with him. That way I can show it to him.
Okay, makes sense.
Yep.
Okay, well, I think that's it then. So with that, I think we can close up the session here. Thanks everyone for joining. Derek, thank you very much. And yeah, keep your eye out for the next one.
Thanks everybody. Have a good one.